What? I have to add myself to the stream? Bloody libertarians. Well, that's a great way to start, isn't it? Oh, goodness gracious. So can you hear, see me, everything? Things should be going well with the internet. I don't notice any lagging myself. Because if things are going well, I am pouring a beer. And we can get this show started. Yeah. Okay. Excellent news. So my green screen seems off. Listen, Buzz, you Irish people think everything is green. We Serbs think everything is blue. So, you know, things are going well. Excellent. Am I too loud? Athanasius says audio and video are perfect. No, it's a local beer. And I got a 2-liter bottle because this needs to be a proper celebration, because it would culminate, if things are going well, it would culminate the entire, it wasn't exactly a year, but it feels like multiple, that we've been trying to get this to work. So yesterday the Ethernet cable got set up. We had, luckily, an old landline chute going from the upper floor to this floor, and it you couldn't get the entire Ethernet cable. You need to remove the plug piece. Someone asked what's up in Serbian, and I gave a very southern response. So, excellent. I haven't planned anything except to see if it works, and then get some people on, get a bit of Q&A maybe going, to celebrate and to test things out further. Wonderful. You need a Confederate flag. You know the song Whiskey in the Jar? It's a very famous Irish song. I heard some type of American Civil War rendition of it. You know, when it goes, when I was going over the far famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. But there's this American Irish version. I think it goes, I am a modern hero. My name is Paddy Carney. Not long ago I landed from the bogs of sweet Killiney. I used to cry out Supfad because that was my trade, sir. I listed up as a soldier boy in Corporal, I don't know the name, brigade, sir. So it's the exact same song, but that's the one I heard before I heard the Whiskey in the Jar. Jel ima nešto za mačka? Mačka? What cat are we talking about? I do have 3 kittens now. What's your favorite Serbian song? Do you like whiskey? No. It tastes like medicinal alcohol. It's bloody awful. Favorite Serbian song? I've got a couple, but so I do not have a favorite one. I can give you maybe like not a tiered list, but like the list of the best of. That would be great. Hello, Kanan. Nice. Skin the jar. I should have thought of something to talk about, shouldn't I have? But I was watching Wimbledon tennis and basketball are the only sports I can manage to watch, and even then only when it's like our players playing. What topics do you discuss when Abramovich calls you? we communicate through familiar spirits. It's a transcendental experience. The Buzzwrecker says the whiskey in the jar basically means there's medicine at home, so don't be afraid to get bloodied. Oh, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was. I guess it is alcoholism. But what is your stance on pear earth? I can't trust you till I know. If the earth was pear-shaped, Serbs would have made alcohol out of it. So I have to deny the reality of pear earth. Family issues. Athanasius is being rather... I almost said naughty, but people have ruined that word. And now it means horrible, disgusting things. That will be a fun stream, Posh versus Abramovich. Okay, so 0 out of 2 for spelling the surname Abramovich, but throw me the link. Okay, I guess we can start having people on, otherwise I'll just rant. I also need to be assigning more spanners to people. So if any of you want a spanner, let me know. Volunteer. Oh, I forgot. Americans call it a wrench. So I suppose a wrench, that's what I meant. You'd think if any of the words that British English and American English would differ on, it would, and that I would pick up the American terms. I love Top Gear, so I picked up almost all of the mechanics and like car terminology from Top Gear. So I call what you call a hood, I'd call a bonnet, and all of that. Well, hello.
Now, you're talking, of course, the British version, right? Because the American version is terrible.
Well, the British version is terrible now that it's no longer Clarkson, Hammond, and May.
Yeah, I was talking about the one from 15 years ago?
Yeah.
I think longer than that.
I think it started in the early 90s because Clarkson had a couple of shows before Top Gear. And in Series 2, I think May joined. It was some fat guy before that. And the trio stayed until Clarkson punched a producer and he got fired and the 2 other guys left with him. But they still have the Grand Tour and it's still funny, even though they're old.
Yeah. No, I had some bit of good news. Went and saw my priest on Friday and got set up for a baptism.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Yes. Excellent. If you remember the fellow Garrett that I met here in Serbia, who lives in Osijek in Croatia now, he got baptized on the 2nd of July.
Oh, really?
So it looks like you'll be number 2 in our community to get to that. I mean, if you work on it, you can still ruin it.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping I don't ruin it. He had invited me to the baptismal date of October 1st or the 8th, whichever one I choose. And I said, well, I'll let that be up to you. And I think I was just looking up the 1st, and I believe, or maybe it's the 8th. I can't remember now, but one of them is actually, I think it's St. is it St. George?
I don't think we have the same calendars.
Oh no, you're right. You're on the old calendar, right?
Yeah. So that really throws you off. Sort of like because of the old calendar, the October Revolution didn't happen in October. It happened in November, and the February Revolution happened in March. So that's sort of funny, but it also causes this. Is Athanasius a saint? Jim Bob asks. Well, you're the one who called him a black midget, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, Saint Athanasius was a saint.
That's a great question. Is Saint Athanasius a saint?
Yeah. I am not. I'm surely not a saint, but I am glad that I was offered that finally. That's nice because I haven't been able to make it to a whole lot of the catechumen classes, but he had just told me of, I think it's called Water and the Spirit. Have you read that book?
No, I
Alexander
haven't.
Schmemann?
I
Okay.
haven't, Schmemann,
I
no.
think it's of Water and the Spirit. He had asked that I read that prior to my baptism. And they're actually going over it in some of the catechumen classes right now. So
Excellent.
hopefully I can catch a few of those classes prior to hopefully getting baptized, right?
Yes,
But
God
yeah,
willing,
anyway,
God willing.
yeah, God willing, right? But yeah, I thought that was appropriate that, you know, you streamed today, and I was able to hop on. I was thinking about hopping on yesterday on Jim Bob's stream, but I couldn't. I had a few minutes right now, but I guess thank you to Jim Bob's streams and you jumping on them that I was even introduced into Orthodoxy and properly understanding it, because there had been a lot of misconceptions about Orthodoxy, and
Yeah.
I hadn't even really understood what it was up until that point. So a big thank you for Jim Bob's community and streams, and for you, um, bringing that to everybody in his community.
Happy to help, and all thanks be to God. So I can't give much advice to people who are just on their way to baptism.
Feeling good. I'm on the phone. I'm sorry?
I don't have much advice to offer to someone who's on the way to baptism. I come from a place where most people get baptized as children, So
Yeah.
definitely, get in touch with people who are in a similar situation. I believe I've heard David Patrick Harry say that after baptisms, things can get even more, challenging because you're properly on the way when that's the case. And I don't know. I can't remember the first year of my life, unfortunately. So I tried. And it was war here, so probably for the best.
Yeah.
But
well,
excellent. Happy that
you
you have announced that here. We have an exclusive announcement.
How does the audio and video? I know that sometimes my headphones are terrible.
I think there was just a slight, glint in the audio at one point, but otherwise seamless.
Okay. Well, good. Didn't mean to destroy your great stream. Anyway,
No,
I've got to
you've
get
made
back.
it much better. You've improved my mood even further. I was in a great mood even before that. Now I'm in an even better mood.
Well, good. Well, thank you, and I appreciate all of your help throughout this past year. So anyway, with that, I'll let you go, and I'll be just listening in. I'm gonna have to get back to work.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, and God bless.
God bless.
You see, even us retards can contribute to great things thanks to God. If anyone else wants to jump on, I'm posting the link again. I really need to get used to paying appropriate attention to the chat. I bet Serbs have never seen a trapper keeper. I believe, is trapper keeper like the thing you go to school with? Because if it is, I know it because of South Park. Posh is like the Serbian opera. You get a wrench and you get a wrench. I would still call it a spanner, Neurojack. Thank you. Thank you for your American linguistic imperialism. The Buzzwrecker says, my Orthodox priest said I can get chrismated anytime I want because I am baptized as a Catholic. No catechism, papal privilege. It is up to the discretion of the local priest or bishop whether someone gets only chrismated or chrismation, for those of you who don't know, is the process of anointing with the oil, or you get it's not a rebaptism, you know, that's sort of a colloquial term for it. We don't rebaptize, but it is, I think they call it a provisional baptism in English or something like that, because if they believe the baptism is valid, they just chrismate you. You do a confession of faith, you reject previous errors, etc., etc. You can find there was a Catholic priest who converted to Orthodoxy, and you have him, he sort of has to say he rejects the condemned teachings of the Catholic Church. Objectively subjective, my priest called it a corrective or completed baptism. Yes, I've also heard that term used. But it's not a rebaptism. I got corrected once and it stayed with me, and I go, oh yes, that would be rather improper. Made by Jim Bob, can I transfer my catechumen status to another parish? I'm not sure, actually. Maybe it's something you would have to talk to at least to the priest in the other parish that you wish to transfer to, but I'm not sure how that works. We have only the Serbian Orthodox Church here, so you can go to another parish, it's still the Serbian Orthodox Church. And if you have to change it because you're moving, I'm sure they would be happy to indulge you for that. Subversion of Trapper Keeper animal procurement snare type device. Excellent, Evan, excellent. My son and daughter are being baptized on Saturday into the Catholic Church, so if they grow up and want to go the Orthodox route, at least they'll skip a couple of stages. Well, I don't shy away from saying I believe that the Orthodox Church is the only true church, but I'm also not overtly aggressive or anything. So, God bless them. May they develop, and I understand people choosing that route, although I would argue about it. What about an Anglican baptism? Again, William, all right. It's up to the discretion of the priest or bishop in the area. They make the decision because the bishop has the keys, to decide to remit and retain. This is why, we call the canon law the rudder. It steers you in the direction, but you have the discretion of the priests and bishops about it. Let's see. What is your opinion of Boyan from Bible Illustrated? I don't know. He seems very soft to me. I have disagreed with certain of his stances, but you have to also understand that I talked to Chase about this. Sometimes in places like Serbia, you get more of a reaction towards the so-called conservative parts of people you disagree with because you don't really have a liberal streak in the church. But you do have the people who go absolutely mad, and say, oh, if you've got a 4-part choir, that means you've got women singing, and that means you've destroyed the entire church and you're basically Satan. Similar to the sedevacantists in Catholicism. So you can develop almost an immune reaction to such people, and then you seem liberal to others. But generally, I think well of him. So, hey, Posh, are Latin lessons still in the works? Of course. It's but I needed to know that everything was working fine. Made by Jim Bob says, I don't like how known I am in my local parish. It's getting in the way of my practice. Well, Jim Bob, I don't know how you would expect not to have the exact same thing develop in the next parish. It's very probable because, this is a YouTube guy. Let's watch his content. So you might be escaping nothing, just sort of postponing to be in the exact same position, but sort of people may think you are incourteous by moving away from the previous parish, and that's why I said you really need to talk to a priest. Why not just go to a non-denominational Rua Sparkleberry? The Sparkle Creed. Went to my local roll call parish because they receive anyone by triune baptism. I don't want to be shortchanged. You can't be shortchanged, but I understand. I'd like to think that I would want a baptism if I were entering the church. But again, it's important to take the opinions of the priest and bishop seriously. Adaptable. Good to see you, Posh. God bless you, and all in the chat. And God bless you, and all in the chat. Okay. Wear a disguise like Mark's glasses. Are those the glasses with it's like a glasses, a nose, and a moustache? Because that would be great. Right, I think I saw a question. I may not have. So good to see you, Redneck. First person to call me just Redneck, so that's like a stat. And good to see you too, GG. So again, I really should have prepared something. I will probably do a stream on Thursday to talk about with examples, general examples of why sola scriptura doesn't work from a linguistic perspective. I think that can be very useful to people. I like to give examples for that people can use in daily conversations. You don't want to go into very, very difficult, deep conversations on small points, because people get very tired of it. The whole on the plain reading of this, we can conclude that. No, you can't. But so I'll be giving examples, collecting them, and trying to arm you people, because it's very difficult dealing with Protestants. They just cluster bomb you with out of context verses. I know Nomsky says, I'm not going to lie, I'm very opposed to Orthodoxy, but I admit my reasons aren't great. Well, you're here. I've seen you in other chats, so it's fine as long as it's not this open hostility. It's fine. People need to learn. People oppose a lot of things without knowing why they oppose them or what exactly it is that they're opposing. And I'd rather have a person reject orthodoxy after knowing what it actually teaches, what it stands for, than just rejecting out of, Constantine the Great did this and that, and now you're all Roman, pagan things. The good news is we found a treatment that was great for me. The bad news is it's a pain in the ass to get it. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a terrible migraine. Oh. Rachel says she's got a migraine for a prescription to be called into the pharmacy. Well, goodness gracious, the Lord be with you, help you out. Oof. So I hope you get better, Rachel. I've seen your interviews with both Pearl and Baron Strawberry back to back. So excellent points you've been making. Very straight to the point, very matter of fact. So it's incredibly refreshing to have someone with that approach deal with this topic. And so saying, it's like a sales pitch. Masculinity is dying. Are you going to do something about it? And then just give examples of things to, support their side. But it seems more like a moral crusade than an actual attempt at inquiry. Author Eric says posh. And he says, I have a collection of Americana I want to mail you. Well, someone needs to let me know what Americana is. I suppose it's something you wear. Rachel, try Rekia. Yes, it cures everything. Okay, Jim Bob tells me to post the link and click pin on it. Let's try that. Options. Oh, bloody hell. Put user in timer. I don't plan on. Oh, am I supposed to do that on YouTube? Oh, God. I am indeed a noob. Pin message. Yes, there we go. You see, I'm learning. Aaron, I know Posh's favorite heresy. He absolutely loves the prosperity gospel. I know it's not a technical heresy. He likes Copeland and all the waka waka. There's a very famous speech. Okay, author Eric, we will talk about that. I am interested in memeable things. So there's a very famous sermon about how the four horsemen, they're up in heaven. The horses are getting restless because the end is near. And the horses are stomping on the ground. And pieces of gold are coming apart, and it's falling and falling into the accounts of the people who donate to the church. So, that's the greatest Protestant thing I've ever heard. That does not even go for veiling Orthodox women. What am I missing? The Ortho tubers are very niche, but there is potential to bring it up to Gen Pop. I was talking to a girl to her face, and I was tell her that I am an Orthodox Christian, and she asked if I was Muslim. But usually when you say Orthodox, they think Jewish. So I'm not sure if it's an upgrade or a downgrade, but Chase says, who is this chick? Like I almost timed myself out of the chat. Chase asks about himself if he is who is this chick? Gypsy jazz in your confession, yes, gypsy jazz music. Pizza jewelry, paper law, etc. So, veiling is a big deal anywhere. I remember when I think I told the story on Jim Bob's stream. So when I was with my high school choir, we won first place at a competition, which came with a monetary reward, and the school used it to send the choir on a monastery tour, and we went to a couple, and especially in the women's monasteries, a nun would come out and at the entrance for all the girls in the choir and give them these scarves and I don't know what's called. It's a skirt that you just got that elastic band around it, so you can put it over your regular pants. So the nuns were patrolling hard. Curly hair makes me as suspect as you, Jay. How do women with an afro wear veils? That seems like it would be rather difficult. Right. I would not suggest asking me for advice from women. You'd get better advice from me on fashion, and I would not ask myself about fashion advice. So anyone want a topic to discuss? A big storm here in Central Europe. Is it? We've had one last week here. It was just a pouring of water. Posh, how I talk to women, they frighten me. The trick is to get them to be frightened of you. I'm the next Andrew Tate, but without trafficking people. What if the advice is about frightening women? I couldn't give you advice. It just comes naturally to me. Noam asks, Posh, how do I scare the women away? Talk about demons and the Nephilim a lot. And if you speak, or at least to an extent, speak some ancient languages, that really helps. Pater noster qui es in celi, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum. So that works. Learn a couple of phrases by heart. I think that would be enough.
Hello.
Well. We've got a double James.
Double James
edition.
I thought maybe you should test sharing a YouTube video, because when you do commentary, you might want to test that as well.
Okay, so how do I go about doing that?
So start a new window and bring up YouTube in your internet, a new window.
Okay.
That's not your StreamYard browser, like a whole new window itself.
A window?
Oh, yeah, okay. Like a new browser window. Okay, not a new tab, a new window.
I opened a tab, now I've corrected that. Okay.
And then go to YouTube, maybe go to like The Brave Believer, the Unitarian guy, just so he's in your history.
Brave Believer.
He's that Sean guy that Sam Shamoon.
Oh, God. I remember the face. Okay.
Okay, so now you have his channel up, and now go to your StreamYard and go down where is it? At the bottom, it'll say share screen. Like there's a little TV window on those options.
It says present, is that it?
Yeah, present. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be able to click that browser window that you just brought up. Okay. And make sure with audio is clicked. It should be on the default share audio. Should be already clicked, but.
Okay. Share.
There we go. And then click one and test the audio and make sure we don't have an echo.
I'll test the first one. Okay. It's muted on my end, maybe.
There we go. I hear it.
This whole game is fictitious. Main friends, just stay in position.
Welcome back to The Brave Believer. I am Sean. Thank you for joining me.
Well, that's enough. Forever. So, can people say you heard it, Jim Bob?
Yeah, I heard it, and then I muted myself to make sure his voice wasn't going through my mic for an echo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I heard it. So I think the chat probably heard it if I heard it.
Yeah, I think so. Can someone confirm from the chat? Just so we're not being too ancient Greek and just guessing things and assuming we're right. And then we write a book having an imaginary debate with someone and we win every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, KF says we hear it.
Awesome.
Excellent. That's a new skill.
Yep. So it's always new window, not new tab, and then and you'll be able to do this. And then you could also, I mean, that view is fine, but if you wanted to sharpen it, you click the little present window under YouTube. Not open fully, but the one right next to the open expand fully in the bottom right of that guy's screen. That second one from the right, it'll make a proper square of the.
You mean this?
Yeah. That'll make it a little more sharp for sharing.
Well, it's not making them any more sharp, I can tell you that.
Right. Not sharp. No, it doesn't clean up the mess. But, yeah.
Okay. So, well, I'm definitely going to need that in the future, but yeah, we don't need that now.
And then you could remove it. Yeah. As you closed it, it's still beneath you. Yeah, you can then close that.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. So, yeah. Well, that calls for another beer. Which is basically anything in Serbian.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's a very common thing if you get a new car, for example, or you pass an exam, or something good happens. Not just things like marriages and a baby being born or baptism, but something good happens. You need to take people out or invite them for drinks or something, which is when you say da častim, which technically means to honor, but that's basically you need to celebrate everything. So if you're buying something, you always need to take into account that you need to buy.
Posh, why do I get the feeling that you justify beers by pointing to very small good things that happen just in your household, like I
got new kittens. I don't even like them.
You're like, this calls for a beer. My water turned on.
You mean Serbian beer? You mean tap water? I have not found a beer in Serbian under 4.7%.
It's pretty good.
You have things like imported ones, or you have those for women, those with like grapefruit and lemon, whatever. Those tend to be smaller. Or Somersby, I think it's called, which is, if someone offered me that, I'd be mortally offended. I'd go to hell because, as the Lord's Prayer says, forgive me as I forgive those. And if I don't forgive, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't be forgiven myself. So if someone wants to destroy my salvation, offer me a Somersby. It's basically, carbonated juice with 2% alcohol. What's 2%?
Do you guys have
alcohol?
custom beer, like craft beer shops and things like that?
Very few, because that's very expensive, but there are those in larger cities especially.
Uh-oh, Posh, you're gonna have to handle this guy yourself. He denies universals. I'm glad I tested your stuff, but I'm gonna let you have it.
Okay. Thank you. God bless. Hello.
Hey, Posh. Thank you for letting me on. I'm glad I caught you here. I just wanted to talk about Jesus' second coming. I don't know if that's a topic you would like to address with me. And I'm interested on the one in Hebrews where it talks about that the second coming will come not with observation.
Not without observation.
Mm-hmm. Is you familiar with that passage? I'm trying to pull it up now.
Let's go to a Bible hub. So give me the exact verse.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the same. Sorry, I was trying to get set up.
No problem.
But thank you very much. I've been waiting for you to start your stream because I love your theology talks and I love your
thank you.
Your manner of taking scripture and making it clear. So here we go. It's actually I had it wrong. It was Luke 17:21. It says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, O lo here, or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you.
Oh, yes.
So is that referring to the second coming?
No. So it would depend on a couple of vectors which you take, like people who don't believe we're living in a millennium, but they believe we're not living in the 1,000-year reign. So the Messianic age is the current one, where God has established his kingdom on earth, and then he will come back and, clean the rest of it up. But we are currently in what we call the millennium, the 1,000-year. It's not 1,000 years exactly, I give the example of how in Serbia, when we haven't seen someone for a while, we say, haven't seen you in 100 years, and no one
haven't seen you in a spell.
100 years. Yeah. So this is the kingdom of God has multiple meanings. When Christ says, my kingdom is not of this earth, mm-hmm. It means that it is a spiritual thing. And the church is the kingdom. But that's what he says. It is in you. It's not a geopolitical entity to be established. It's, the Orthodox Church supports monarchy and everything. But it does not view it as, the goal. Physical. Yeah, because most, kings and emperors are not saints. They tend to be the exact opposite. So that's what it means. It is already in you. We don't lack anything, but we also are deceived by the demonic forces. So we tend to go awry. We tend to not be citizens in the kingdom of God first and do the bidding of the King, who is Jesus Christ, but we tend to veer off. And it is also very important to remark that the Pharisees had the opposite view. They believed that the Messiah would come and chase out the Romans.
Right. So
he's refuting that.
Okay, so the Pharisees did believe that he was going to come, and like Hebrews. This is what I was thinking about Hebrews 9, where it says 9:26. But now, once in the end of the world, has he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. So is that saying like the Pharisees, they thought he was going to come at the end of time? Is that congruent with what the Pharisee thought about the Messiah coming at the end of time, at the end of the world?
The Pharisees didn't really think that. They think he would establish an earthly kingdom. Saint Paul, Hebrews is very contentious when it comes to the authorship, probably the most contentious. But it is Saint Paul. The church teaches that. Father Stephen DeYoung has an excellent exposition on why he believes it is a recorded sermon of Saint Paul. And let me reread it so I don't use any verbiage I shouldn't. Just as people are destined to die once and after that to face judgment. Yes, this is the first death, so to speak. It is the earthly death. It is the separation of body and soul. It is a very unnatural thing. The second death is what we would call spiritual death. It is a complete separation from God. You don't disappear. That's annihilationism. We reject annihilationism. You don't just disappear. But in the Orthodox Church, we teach that God will rejuvenate, so to speak, the creation, new heavens and a new earth, and will be present in a much more direct sense than he is currently. So in there, that is what we see as the eschaton, as the final state of affairs. That is post-Judgment Day. And am I answering your question? Maybe.
Yeah, because I was just getting to his second coming, and it's and all these verses that come with, like his secret coming that no one sees. I don't know, in eschatology, I know everything's jumbled up here, but I was trying to make sense of his second coming, about him not coming in observation and coming at the end of the world, because it says that, and also says he will come at the end of the world. Now, is that a literal statement, or are we talking about eons, or are we talking about epochs?
Eons or aeons is a very important term in biblical theology, as a day, as a hour, the hour of this person, the day or days of that person, etc. Yes, but we are currently living in the millennium, so the kingdom is here. And that is, when you were referring to Luke, that is what it's talking about. The kingdom comes. It's not, this giant event. It is something that happens gradually, and it is within the people already, but it needs to manifest, so to speak. I'm not trying to be, metaphysical or Eastern or something.
Right, because and it says manifest here on that, what it says here. Because I'm talking about there's all these verses that talk about his second coming, and they use very similar words. It's like in 1 Peter chapter 1 and 20 says, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you. I just don't know if is that still talking about the 2,000 year?
We are in the last days, and have been for quite a while. So we're talking about the last aeon before the Judgment Day, right? So let me give you a more general outlook so you understand where the church comes from. So you have this era of pre-messianic era. So that's before the incarnation of Christ. In that era, the Gentile, or the people of the nations, which is the proper way to understand what the word means, are under the dominion of demonic powers, fallen angels. Because before that, people were under the governorship, so to speak, of angelic powers who started accepting worship for themselves. We have even pre-Christian pagan authors talking about a shift with the gods. Plato on the Laws mentions this, that gods were sort of nice and then they sort of weren't. And all of a sudden things started going badly. Not saying that it happened in the time of Plato, I'm saying he mentioned that this is what happened. And then you have the God establishes Israel. He doesn't pick a nation, he establishes a new one from the remnants of Egypt, people who have fled Egypt, right? So he establishes a new people, so to speak, which are directly under him. And then you've got endless mentions of how his people are supposed to invite the Gentiles in, but you also have the famous, Malachi 1:11, my name will be made great among the Gentiles, etc. But basically, a nation in those days is a religious thing. It's not an ethnic thing. Ethnic thinking is very modern, comes with the advent of genetics and things. And he says the new Israel, how St. Paul says that Israel by blood is like Ishmael, and the one by faith is Jacob. So, Isaac. So when we talk about then the gospel going out, the gospel I talked about on Jim Bob streams, the gospel or evangelion is a declaration of the coming of a king. So the gospels in those days, evangelia, the plural, there's just the plural, is when a herald comes and announces that a king is coming and they read out his victories and great accomplishments. So the gospel is the announcing that the king is coming and he will be, and his triumph is won over death and sin. And that is the second coming. So it's preparing you, it's warning you. And I will have to look up where exactly. I think it's also in the epistles of Peter, where he says that the world, God lets things roll on and on and on until nothing more can be done. And so that as many people as possible can repent. And this is in Revelations also mentioned, that the blood of the martyrs crying out from under the altar in heaven, how long will they go unavenged, etc. So God is sort of in this age, the age of the millennium, the 1,000-year rule of Christ. He is letting as many people repent as he as will. He knows all things, and then there will come a time where that is no longer going to be happening, and then you get into the end of the world, and then a new heaven and a new earth emerging after that.
So Christ now is. I think you brought up. I just saw that you brought up his screen, Sean's screen, about him being in the temple, up in the seventh heaven, or the third heaven. I don't know. But so where is
seventh heaven is more Muslim.
Oh yeah, no, but they believe they have. But Sean believes there's 7 firmaments, and so Christ is reigning in one of those firmaments in the temple, and that is not made with hands. But he's physically above us in some capacity. Mm-hmm. So do the Orthodox have something like that? Where's Jesus now?
So there are a couple of things to mention. It's not a literal heaven. So when we talk about the spiritual, people get very confused, and it is a confusing topic, so I'm not being judgmental about that. But spiritual is not just a different type of material thing. It's another dimension, which is another way of saying, it's material, but it's in a different place. That's not how it works. It also isn't how it works with space and time. When we talk about God being above, we're not literally saying he's up there. That's not also how it works. It's what we call sacred geography or something, where we talk about something being up and elevated. We're talking royal. We're talking someone who has dominion. So who is above everyone else? God. Now, he isn't in a place up there, but he is above everything else in that hierarchical sense. Just to mention the body part.
Yeah, that was the
body parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the body parts per se, but we believe that we are in a very, fallen state. Mortality was given to us so that we would repent. We don't end up like the demons, who are angels, who are deathless, and immaterial, and they're basically in constant rebellion. We are pulled away from being similar to that by being mortal and very able to die. But upon his resurrection, Christ is now in his glorified flesh. And we don't know exactly how, but it is different than the way we are now. So he didn't die and get up and be and was the same way as he was before. We see instances of like walking through doors, but you can attribute that to him being God, right? But all sorts of things happen that indicate that we will not be in the same way we are now. So when he ascends, it's with the angels and everything, his ascension, it's a feast day. And it doesn't mean that he necessarily ends up in like a layer of the atmosphere or in space, or however you envision space. Something happens, but it is this rift between the spiritual and the material that we can't really quantify. And when you talk about the temple, St. John in his gospel is very clear that the temple is Jesus. He is the new temple. So all of these ways that God explains to us, a new Jerusalem, a new temple, these are not meant to be taken as like a new Jerusalem is just like going to descend slowly from the sky and end up on earth. He's pointing to something that will be reestablished in a better way, because everything will be regenerated and the angels fully punished, etc.
Okay, so there won't be a physical manifestation of a huge block coming down out of the middle of the North Pole or something, and then that everybody will see, and then we'll have to walk.
A cube in Revelation, you mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The huge cube is not a huge cube going to fall down, and then we're going to go and pay homage to the king. We have to make like our Mecca trips, and then reestablish the whole sacrificial system, and then keep the laws and feast.
Yeah, but the golden cube is better than the black cube, so we win, even if you take it that way.
Even if it is. Yeah.
No, a cube is a way of expressing perfection. In those days, all the sides are equal and everything. A sphere is also used to depict the same thing, but a cube is also something you make, as an artisan. It's very, very fine artisanship. So it expresses, when you describe a cube, it expresses something as perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Like people will say for a sphere, all the points are at the exact same distance from each other. That's what a sphere would be geometrically. So no, it's not that. And of course, we believe things will be regenerated, but the entire law is set up as like a sin-regulating system.
Okay.
The sacrifices and everything. That's why God, when he gets angry with the Israelites, he says, "Don't don't offer me sacrifices. You're not doing it for the right reason and might as well not do it at all. It's actually worse if you do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
So-
to cast out. So yeah, I'm just focusing on the fact that if it's not going to be a physical manifestation, is he going to be physically manifested back, and are we going to see like Thomas saw with his body and his wounds, and how much of because I'm just trying to get a sense of the revelations in the second coming of the eschaton, if we're going to have a completely physical eschaton like Sean Griffin teaches. I think he teaches out of his own understanding.
Will we be embodied? Will we be embodied and Christ?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we believe. That's everything will be reestablished. There's no place up in the clouds where we'll be floating around playing all manner of instruments. No, that's not going to happen. But God will be present much more fully on earth. Yes, he is. This is why Orthodox can be very uncomfortable with the term Christ's glorious return, because he hasn't really gone. I am with you even until the end of days, right? But he will be coming back in a very specific way. And yes, we believe he will be physically here. What that would entail with all the things that will change when God renews creation, we don't know the mechanics of it.
So there won't be a rapture like between 3 years and take all the special people and
no
and
rapture. No.
3. Okay.
Sorry.
No. I just wanted to. All right. Thank you so much. You actually clarify a lot. I'm really, I'm always interested in Orthodox theology. Just seems to be winning out in my own mind to what the true Jesus that needs to be followed is. I'm just constantly. So if you do this more regular time, I'll come up with more questions to ask you.
Of course, no problem. I'm actually going through Revelations myself properly. Have been for a while, because things can easily get misinterpreted. So thank God I was able to answer a lot of what you were saying because of that. But I'm still working on it. And you're happy. You're
welcome.
You're happy. I almost said you're happy to call in. I mean, I don't know the word I meant to say.
Welcome to.
Yes, good. Thank you. You're welcome to call in. I will be doing these. I'm thinking of, because Jim Bob does Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll probably take the Tuesday and Thursday slots. So, and then maybe on other days, mix it up when I'm in a more random mood. But yes, absolutely, I'm happy to have you here. That's what I wanted to say. Happy to have you here. So thank you for calling in.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Pash. You have a wonderful day. God bless you.
God bless you as well. See, that was a great talk we had. Someone asked me to elaborate. Yes, Chris Music. Posh, can you elaborate more on what you said about mortality versus needing to repent? And maybe you misunderstood me. It's that God didn't leave us immortal, because we believe that all the hardships we endure, including mortality, is God not allowing us to be in this state that the demons are, where you're sort of immortal, you're sort of outside of time even for them, or at least inside time, but having a different experience of it. And that we would be brought down and not just endlessly grow in pride and just have that be this most foul creatures that you can imagine, which is what they are because of their rebellion. So God gives us sickness and tragedy and all of this so that we may be lowered down from our pride and turn to him. That is what I meant. I didn't mean to say anything like, it's a threat from God. It's not a threat. It's an anti-pride, medicament, so to speak. So I hope that clears things up a bit on what I was saying. I've missed a lot of chats, so sorry about that. I was a loft-bound grunt in the day, with the nodding out of one would let me keen. What? I was a loft-bound grunt in the day, with the nodding out no one would let me run any machine. Sorry, Evan, I cannot decode that. Thanks, Bosch. Why are we different than angels and demons? Why God created that hierarchy? God created the hierarchy because he wants us to share in the dominion. The angels are like that. We are like that, but we were built for a purpose to be higher than the angels. And then you had a rebellion from a certain portion of the angels on that ground, and on other grounds also. But God shares his dominion. This is one of the huge problems of predeterminism. That people say God's sovereignty means he sort of wound up this machine that is going to play out. No, he created us and the angels in a way where we have a limited authority granted from him. Not because he needs it, but that's the purpose. He created us out of love, and we're supposed to have a dominion over reality. But because we're fallen, we tend to abuse the dominion we have. So I think that might... we almost forgot to hit like. Well, I didn't expect this to be, to have any content worth liking. So if you did like it, please do hit the like button. I hope that answered your question, at least to an extent. Matvey Ignatiev. I'm not sure if I'm sort of reading it Russian into it. Posh, can you ask a question about demons post second coming if you know the answer? I was wondering, will they be eternalized in their sin, or will they just burn in hell with no pleasure? So I will give you what I know. This is a topic I'm still unsure about. So to preambulate my answer with that. So punishment is eternal, and we don't, again, their relationship with time is different to our relationship with time. They're not just invisible flying guys. This is also a huge part of their rebellion. They have much more knowledge than we do. They don't sin through naivete. They sin very deliberately. And hell is not a place. It's not a giant cave, with holes of lava. And hellfire is what we believe, the fire that burns is the Holy Spirit. The presence of the Holy Spirit is burning those who haven't accepted God, who haven't accepted Christ, who haven't, synergized with Christ, haven't worked his will and become full with his grace. They will experience God's presence as pain and suffering of some type. Again, not like literally putting your hand in a fire. It's how it's described to us. But how exactly that plays out, I'm still not sure, and that's why I also said, I forgot his name, Oman. I hope I didn't get that wrong. That I'm still exploring. This is also unclear to me. These very important parts of the eschaton. Okay. Matvey Ignatiev. Oh, you're Bulgarian, it seems. At least that's what I gather from the Cyrillic here. I'm not too familiar with Bulgarian, but I sort of know a couple of things that tend to let me know most of the time. Posh, do you own a doghouse? If I don't, can I invite you to come have a chicken with me? That's a Norm MacDonald reference for those of you who are unaware. Posh, how many El were amongst the Elohim in Genesis 1? Elohim is a very contentious term because people take it in all sorts of ways. So one of the major reasons it's used is not to show the Trinity. It's in large part to distinguish him from El, the father of Baal. That's one big reason it's used. But the Elohim are also the angels and everything. So the Genesis account isn't an exact account of, God created this, then this, then this. It is more of God relaying creation to us in a more informative way, because he is not in time and then doing this one day and then he's doing this the next day, etc. So it's not its purpose to describe how many there are. The Bulgarian want a summer job. Baron Strawberry expanding his fiefdom. Posh, what do you think about having a turtle as a pet? I like the idea of having a pet that can outlive you. You like the idea? Huh. That's isn't that a bit selfish? It's sort of like, is it selfish to think you want your spouse to outlive you? You deal with the pain of loss. I don't have to. What's being at you? Russian, Ukrainian, by the way. Okay. I just had to ask because there are certain things that are written within Bulgarian that I know tend not to be in Russian, and with Ukrainian, I'm even less acquainted with than with Bulgarian. I can read it, but it's a very dreary thing to engage with when you have just snippets of knowledge. I'll start wearing the gold chain and smoking the cigars with the buttoned. Sorry, there was something there that made it look like a different letter. Down shirt of the Bulgar roots. Bulgarians and Hungarians are the best Asians around. I asked my mom to watch him in the backyard while I went to the bathroom. Pet turtle. The pet turtle, I don't like pets in general. I have cats because I need cats, because rodents. Is it true that Bulgaria is the Alabama of the Balkans? Bulgaria is a lot of things. It's the Chinatown of the Balkans. Sorry. Posh, do you own a flower print beach shirt? No. I will leave that to Jay Dyer. He excels at such endeavors. Okay, I'm curious about Richard's question as well. Let's find Richard's question. Again, I do tend to miss a lot of things because I don't pay sufficient attention to the chat. Posh, what defines the Orthodox faith? Is it very different from Catholicism? Thanks and good to see the stream. I look forward to watching and supporting. I owed you and JB some super chats. By the way, don't think about money. Money will come. I will set up an account now that I know things work. with the Ethernet cable, so that's awesome. The Orthodox faith, so when we talk about the differences between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, we tend to go down the route of following from the very start. And we're not big on what Catholics sometimes call development of doctrine. Now, doctrine can be developed in the sense of become more precise, but when you have a change, you are stepping outside of orthodoxy. So there isn't really a way. This is why we get criticized, especially by Protestants, for not having what they call systematic theology. Orthodoxy is mostly about practicing the faith, so living out a Christian life. And we have doctrinal boundaries around that. And that goes with tradition. And tradition needs to be defended. That's why we have councils. That's why we have all sorts of apologetics. But there isn't a way that you can sort of sum it up. And there are slogans, that are used to try and sum it up, but I think they're sort of self-referencing, so I won't be using those. But it is quite a bit different from Catholicism. Catholicism, especially in the second millennium, gets very Aristotelian with the translations of the bulk of Aristotle's works into Latin, which I think only 2 of his works were translated before that. And then that really starts influencing their thinking, which is where you get it gets much more legalistic, it gets much more Aristotelian in metaphysics, which is the whole, if you've heard of the absolute divine simplicity versus essence energy distinction, if you've heard that, that is really from Aristotelian thinking. And all things go from there of how we can talk about God. How can God be absolutely simple yet triune, or even incarnate? How do you have those types of changes in someone who cannot change, in the sense of the unmoved mover of Aristotle? So yes, but it's a very, very big topic to start now. The Hawaiian shirts. Jay, yes. What's the weather like on the Appalachian Mountain Range? Where was I supposed to be by certain theories from Kentucky? How about learning a new language? How long does it take? How do you go about learning a new language? It will take proficiency is where it will take years. There are gradations of difficulty of languages. The basic one is, of course, how different is it from the language or languages which you already speak. So, a Swede will not have that difficult a time learning Norwegian or Danish, but will have a lot of problems learning Finnish, because the Finns speak a very unique language. They have I think in English you call it the Anglo-Finnic group of languages, which is Hungarian and Finnish. So when you have that massive a shift, it's going to take time. And of course, you're going to have different ways in which languages operate in general. The Indo-European language group is going to be easier for you, for example, than Semitic languages. But if you want to know how I go about doing it, I get grammar books, general grammar. And the first thing I do is deal with phonetics. That might be difficult if it's not your forte, to learn phonetics, because phonetics and phonology are, disciplines you need to work with. But get a good grammar, start getting a grasp of it. There are different schools of didactics on how do you start practice first or theory first? And the only conclusion they got to was it depends on the person. So that's why I'm saying my approach is learn the grammar first, at least get a grip of the basics so that you can build on it. then you start learning the approach. So when I start the Latin lessons, the first lesson will be mostly describing Latin and learning to read it. That's the basic that I would start with, and then start developing grammar from the basics. Then you get to more advanced grammar. Along the way, you have to learn about exceptions to rules. But practice. The more you practice a language, reading, and be careful when reading. Try to read proper literature. Try to read journal articles. Things that have an expectation of a level of quality and proper writing. People learn Japanese by watching anime. That's not a good way to do it, because anime is going to be full of specialized terminology. They're going to be implementing all types of things for jokes, which will really veer off from how you learn the formal language. And that's just not a good way to do it. I know of people who have lived, for example, one lived in Florida, and he needed to get a certificate for a certain level of knowledge of English. And he lived there for years and years and years, and he thought no problem at all, and just failed, because you don't go to Florida and start talking the way I talk. You just don't. My speaking is informed by my study of languages. People there speak English as a normal thing. They just try to get information across. So, and you're going to have all sorts of dialects and local influences, very parochial influences that are going to affect how you speak. And then when you try to pass a formal English test, it's very different. No one in America or Britain or somewhere like that in the Anglosphere is going to say, "Oh, I will have been finishing by the time you've arrived." No one says that, because it's just not the level of formality required by everyday life. Neurojack says Latin is very difficult. Yes, but it will work. Hopefully, if you dedicate some time to it, especially writing. Actually, Neurojack, English is incredibly difficult for writing. Very, very difficult to get used to, because it's sort of learning it by heart. In Serbian, it's very easy to learn to write. The grammar is just ungodly difficult, but when you have English, it's finite, but the opposite of finite is not infinite, it's infinite. Read is spelled the same way as red, and then the GH is, your guessing game of what GH is, through, trough, though. Things get very difficult very quickly from an outsider's perspective. Speaking of Norm Macdonald's jokes, I think Larry King told him, because he said iron, and Larry King tells him that's why English is the most difficult language in the world. Says it is. To me, it's the easiest. Author Eric says Latin is gay. No. Since the Catholics have abandoned it, we can bring it back into the fold of Orthodoxy. We have. They gave us a chance. We should take it. Guys, the way to learn is to become full with the Holy Spirit and then speak in tongues. Oh yes. What is it called? Xenoglossia, I think it is called, when the gift of the Holy Spirit that lets you speak foreign languages. Or if you ask the Pentecostals, it's just speaking gibberish. Just being cautious. Fair enough. Would have said Latin is hard to speak. We'll work on that. I would also argue English is harder to speak. as in phonetically. If you mean grammar-wise, Latin is more difficult grammar-wise. Yeah, that's something to get used to. I think when I start talking about grammatical cases, I'll have to give an exposition of how many stream trials are we doing, Andrew asks. I suppose that's Andrew, the Crucible Limited. This is the final one because things are working. So no more stream trials. It's just streams from now on. What was I talking about? My goodness, it escaped me. So we've been going on for almost 2 hours. I'll stay for one more cigarette, so we can have a bit more fun. Whenever someone says I want to learn a language, I just think to myself, I will understand in heaven if I am endowed that privilege. Certainly, certain people have gifts. I know that one gift I certainly don't have is visual arts. My penmanship, I say, is that of an epileptic. And I tried to develop it. Even I'm sure if I could become acceptable. I don't think I could become good. I think I could become acceptable, but it would take an inordinate amount of time devoted to this, which I'm not good at. So you devote things to the gifts you do have from God and try to use it for His glory. I think learning a language, if that's something that works for you and can help you in your journey towards God, I think you should do that. But if it's not, and I know people who it's like talking to a brick wall about it. You just don't try to spend time with something that doesn't work. Figure out what is the best for you. Now, if you have to, that's a different thing. But I don't think many people have to learn Latin. Let's see. I'm asking for confirmation that we are called to do all things for the glory of God. I've had 2 people in the past week tell me there's a neutral direction we can go. To do things of God is more. We are called to do it, but it's not a legal distinction. So you try to do your best through prayer, and speaking to your spiritual father. You try your best, and if you have tried your best, and that might be, in the grand scheme of things, very bland. It doesn't matter. You are the good and faithful servant for doing your best to do the work of God. If you try to usurp sort of the will of God and say, oh, God would want me to have as many women as I can, you're not, so it's not a prayerful direction to go by. But neutral, I am not very particularly comfortable with the term neutral on that regard, because you serve one of 2 masters. Is a Serbian cigarette just carpet fibers and cat hair rolled into a piece of discarded hotel toilet paper? I think that would be actually more expensive, to be honest, than just buying, cigarettes or tobacco. So I bet Posh's handwriting looks better than most of ours. I would not take that bet, just to be clear. Posh, what's your opinion on poor Ryan Tubridi being cancelled? I don't know who that is, so I can't answer. But I'm a free speech absolutist, I love it when people go to all sorts of superlatives and then break them, break the principles of them. Oh, we have a new guest. Hello.
Hello, Posh.
How's it going, Eurojack?
Doing good. I think I'm going to change my name to Eurojack, and I'll do a different accent.
Oh, you can do a whole manner of accents.
Oh, you've heard? Okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, it's just hard for me to stay in character for long because I start laughing.
I do that with trying to do a different English accent as well.
Yeah, I in person I can do it pretty well, but for some reason I get shy, you know. No, I just wanted to support you. I'm really happy you're doing this. I wanted to ask, did you figure out a way for us to throw some whatever kind of money you guys use in Serbia?
I will be setting up an account, but I didn't want to do it before I actually know that things are working properly. You know, I'll get things monetized and everything, but I think it would have been unfair to not be able to provide proper content and then ask for donations. So I wanted to wait until we had a proper stream trial, you know, that works.
Yeah, the tech looks like it's working pretty well in the stream. I haven't caught the whole thing. I've been in and out, but it looks like it's working really well. So that's good.
Thank God, because it's been a long wait, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think this for like a few months, but yeah, I'm excited personally, and you know, with the Latin stuff, I learned for 3 years, you know, a long time ago, and it was difficult. Latin is very difficult, particularly if you don't have it. My teacher was good, but it's like it's very different than English, and especially in the grammar, I think, like you said, is really it's just a different system, right? And
Very.
yeah.
When I didn't think I finished the thought. When I do grammatical cases, you know, and since you've learned, you know, there are 6. In Serbian we've got 7, but in English you don't actually have any, except some remnants, you know, like with personal pronouns, he, him, we, us. You know, you've got just that shift from subject and object. But in Latin you've got 6. But I will do a bit of a talk on the differences, general differences between languages which are more plastic and those which are more analytic. So English is very analytical. Everything is word order, use a lot of prepositions, etc., compared to a very plastic language like Latin. And Serbian is also very plastic. But I will be trying to bridge those gaps by having a change of mindset when approaching it. So this is the big problem of learning a language so that functions differently. You sort of try to force it into the way your language works. And sometimes there are just no parallels, and you need practice to get over that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been a long time. So I'm looking forward to it because I need to even be able to speak intelligently only. I'm sure like if I take your class, it'll come back to me somewhat, but it's been a long time since I've used my knowledge. You know, it helps reading some English because obviously some Latin has been embedded into English, but it's just an interesting topic. I think language is something the Americans should, we're going to have to start engaging with a little bit more.
I talked about the difficulty of being in an English-speaking country because there's no analog to the language being a language that's so present like English is for us non-native English speakers. So we just sort of have a language at hand in every medium imaginable. But you have no analog to that as English speakers. The closest you have in the United States is Spanish, but it's nowhere near the presence of English. But prepare for this now. Hello, Andrew.
Posh, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you well.
Thank you to the magnanimous Saruman for allowing me to come into his stream today and speak with him. Can you tell us again, Posh, about the Serbian land of milk and honey? The land without the homosexual or the transgender? The great land that we all want to go towards, Posh. Tell me again.
I want to, but we have Western NGOs. And then if someone tries to do something about it, we get threatened with all types of sanctions. So, thank you, West. Thank you so much. Actually, just recently, a transgender person was murdered in Belgrade. And people started shouting, the NGOs started shouting transphobia. But it turned out that the boyfriend was the murderer. So, so they couldn't even milk it, poor people. But it's madness. We had to have 1 year. We had to have 5,000 police officers protect a pride parade because they needed the protection. But it still happened. It's demanded by European law.
Well, Posh, that does not sound like the base place you told me about. You told me about a place where on the percentile degeneracy map, it was the lowest anywhere in the world. And now it's sounding different, Posh. Sounds like you told me one thing behind the scenes, Posh, and now you're telling me something else when it's out in public. That's what it sounds like.
No, I sent you the map, right? The acceptance of transgenderism, and we were 1%, which is the lowest. That's what I told you. I didn't say we could solve the problem because the West won't let us. But we still no civil unions, none of that.
Now, hang on. Let me push back a little bit because
Okay.
I brought this up the other day. Okay. And what I was told was that the reason that there's so little in the way of degeneracy in Serbia is because on average, the Serbian IQ and the Eastern Balkan nations IQ is lower than the rest of Western Europe. Is that true, Posh? Are you just stupid bigots, Posh?
Well, kind of. We nerf ourselves with alcohol from a very early age, so we don't overrun everything. We're already tall. We already give you all these geniuses, like Tesla, and then what are you left with? We're going to hurt your pride, and you have more ammunition, and you're just going to end up nuking us. So it's a defense mechanism.
One of your commenters says that you need to start Serbtaria. Right? Is Serbtaria in our hearts, Posh?
It's in your liver and it's ruined. More so than Bataria is.
How does it feel knowing that Resident Sleeper, who's an Albanian, has won all of his debates and you have lost all of yours, Posh? How does that make you feel inside?
I think God doesn't want me to get too prideful. He doesn't care about Albanians. They're a lost cause. So how I talked about God gives us hardships so we don't get too prideful. That's the thing. And Albanians are already fallen beyond redemption.
Now is the Serbian NATO Santa Claus still dropping condoms and birth control over to the Albanians? Is that still the official policy there?
I don't think they know. I don't think goats can get pregnant, so I don't know. Finally, a successful stream trial, and I'll get banned. So that's one way to do it, I suppose.
Oh, you're not going to get banned, Posh. I mean, even YouTube must hate Albanians. That's like, isn't that like a good rule of thumb for everybody?
I think it's a good rule of thumb for Albanians. Because you've got the mountainous region ones, and then you've got the coastal ones, and the coastal ones hate the other ones, and they hate the other ones, and so it's great. It's like it's as real as Belgium, which isn't real.
No, Australia isn't real.
That's just a given.
Yeah, Australia's not real. Belgium's real. I know. I have an FNFAL. That's made in Belgium.
Yeah, it's not a real country, I'm saying. They literally don't have a government.
Really?
Yeah, the European Union runs things and has been for a while. It's a creation of the British, It's two paths that hate each other, the Walloons and the Flemish ones. So it's great, isn't it?
I mean, even Ireland has a fucking government, man.
I know. Even
the
Albania.
Even the Irish have a government.
So, woo.
All right. Well, look, I'm gonna jump off your stream. I just wanted to, come on and be a dick for a minute. But I'm glad you're having a successful first stream. If you want a dono chat, let me know and I'll get you set up, man.
I'll need to get a bank account first, and then I'll definitely contact you.
No.
You.
It's just DM me, man. We'll get you taken. You don't even need a bank. We'll just get you taken care of.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care,
God
man.
bless.
See ya.
Just a moment to answer my phone. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Yes, things are working out. And what would a Balkan person stream be without ethnic, discrimination?
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to your cage match. That's going to be, right after the Elon versus Zuckerberg. You can do one against one of your ethnic enemies. That'd be pretty fun.
Oh, I can't go against Resident Sleeper. He's a penitent Albanian. And due to Andrew's intercessions, I have forgiven him for being Albanian. So I can't fight him.
Well, don't worry. There's other ethnic enemies that are.
There's no shortage of them. It's the Balkans. You have the word Balkanized for a reason.
And by the way, as an American, I'm offended that you think Tesla is a good scientist because his cars suck.
You see, we let an Anglosphere person take the name, and what does he do? Produce horrible cars, a fake, metro system of sorts, and a space agency. So, see what happens when you let Westerners do things.
Yeah. See, all you need now is a redneck accent and be like, these damn Anglospheres trying to steal our identity and do these terrible things,
Oh yeah. I said I'm from southern Serbia. We are the hick part of Serbia. I am a master of speaking in a way that people, 3 villages over wouldn't understand. So
no, I'm excited. I know of 2 people who want to debate you as well, so I don't want to put it out in the ether unless you want to, but I'll
message me.
I'll message you about it and see if you're interested. And you know who they are, but yeah, I'm just excited for you, man. I hope that you get it going. And I have no shortage of stuff I want to bring up with you, but all in due time, I'm sure. So I just wanted to, and I'm excited for you. God bless you.
Thank you. I'm excited myself, and God bless you. And thank you for the support and the kind words.
Thank you, Posh. Bye-bye.
Okay, talk to you later. So, we did get over the 2 hour. No, we didn't get over the 2 hour line. How long have we been going? I don't see a timer. Okay, I see it. Let's go for 2 hours. Just to make it, unofficially official. So that should. Elon is from Africa. First of all, that man is about 13 shades whiter than I am, because he's either Dutch or English by descent. And they the English, they see the sun, 3 times a year. But yes, he's from South Africa. I'm aware. Elon is actually from Canada. I know his family comes from eugenicists and all sorts of people, which is great because he says based things, and if he says based things, then I support him. Posh versus Vorsh is happening. Absolutely. If you can arrange it, I think it could be fun. So I was shocked by the confidence salesmanship of Elon Musk, because he doesn't really do anything properly, does he? But he has an amazing ability to sell things by making the memes, basically. So he has to be commended for his abilities. But what was that? It's supposed to be called a bore or something. The thing he talked about on Rogan. We are driving in. I don't know why I went with an Irish accent, but let's continue the Irish accent. We are driving in 2-dimensional roads, but we are 3-dimensional. So we need to. Yeah, just nothing happens. But the hype is there, and that's what capitalism is all about. This is why you should let the government do everything. You see, guys, seen the leaked Vosh Discord messages where he says bestiality a lot? It does not help his credibility, but I suppose in his worldview it does not matter. I believe he said he was some type of anarcho-syndicalist, but he doesn't believe it will happen. So I simply don't understand people who say, oh, I support the thing that can never manifest in reality. So listen to me. Nonsense. That was actually a good impression. I started an Irish accent by accident, but I had to keep it going. Should I give him a Swedish accent? Sheffield is united. We are going to establish this 3-dimensional space through which you can drive with more intuition. Posh, the finest thing about being Irish is that since I can talk, everybody thinks I'm brilliant. Yes. It's not the bigotry of low expectations, you know. It's actually a very good thing for the Irish. As a Serb, I just don't have to, you know, commit ethnic cleansing, and people are, whoa. But when is your next live stream? Probably on Thursday. I can't guarantee it. The weather here is July weather, which is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I did check what 100 degrees Fahrenheit was, because I can't be bothered to you know, multiply by 9/5 plus 32. And yes, I'm saying that because the only time you can get things done outside are early in the morning and then very late in the evening. So that's why I wasn't jumping on Jim Bob's streams lately, because you can barely do anything except in that time frame, and then you're sweaty and tired and everything itches and you just want to stab people. I love capitalism, Taco Bell, mother effer. Taco Bell. I just mean, if you were to go and debate him, a critique on credibility because of the messages would probably be one way to go about it. Probably, but I haven't seen what you're talking about, but I have no problem accepting that people of his, you know, ilk and caliber are accepting or even, you know, promoting these things. It's just bloody nonsense. But I would do that. Posh, you drank yourself into Irish. Maybe I should do a stream. I shouldn't, but I should do a stream where we have to see if there's a point at which my accent just naturally becomes Irish as I continue to drink more and more. Posh, come to Canada. I think I'd be shot on site. But it wouldn't take me a lot of time to get into problems with the Canadian government. Didn't Hunter also get beat up by that girl? You are now more in the realm of knowledge available to Andrew, but not me. I just know Hunter is someone who used to be a conservative, which in American terms is, I don't know, low taxes basically. But I watched Andrew's stream and it was just depressing. I couldn't even laugh. I tried. Canada is cold, yes, but Serbia is also cold in the winter. Not as cold as Canada, but I actually prefer cold to summer. I just cannot handle heat. It just makes me angry and it melts my brain and it's annoying. I only like when Fahrenheit is 451. Great literary reference from Andrew. And Sposh coming to help out the Bulgarians of the Strawberry Kingdom. No, they're poor to us, the Serbs. The Bulgarians used to say to Romanians that they are Yugoslavia compared to Romania, which is sad, but it was a flex apparently. Have I read the link to the claim? I will not send it. It's actually I could look it up, but I doubt I will. It just pollutes the mind. You mentioned Hunter. Maybe you meant Biden. I just sort of defaulted into Hunter Avalon because of Andrew's stream. Papa Posh, can you tell me again about the Holodomor? Well, it's all started with a certain group of people that use a symbol that's two triangles meshed with each other. Oh, God. How high can an Orthodox Christian blow on a breathalyzer? It depends. The Greeks aren't that bad. But when you talk about the Slavs, oh goodness. So I don't know. So the only thing I need further is no. I'll do the linguistic streams. I'll test things out because I don't necessarily need visual aids, but it would help. The Jim Bob taught me how to bring up a different screen, so I can, I don't have to have screenshots of Bible verses or something. I can just pull up the Bible Gate. I don't know why I keep going to Bible Hub instead of Bible Gate, because Bible Gate is much more easily accessible. Bible Hub is great if you want a specific verse in all sorts of versions, but visual HIV. That's wonderful. She's a tough woman. I wouldn't cross her. Who is? I don't know. So we are 6 minutes away from 2 hours. No, I'm not going to talk about tennis. Tennis is basically the only sport I watch. I sometimes watch basketball. Posha, are you planning on a live stream with Resident Sniper when he turns up in Serbia? Perhaps. I don't know how long he will be staying or anything. So, are your studies focused mostly on linguistics in general? Do you get into theology with your degree? It's linguistics. I go to theology as it applies. I don't have a theology degree. I just read a lot. I'm not a theologian, never claimed to be, and I'm certainly not clergy. Or if I was, I was clergy and I was in White Run. Get it? It's an anti-Catholic joke. Biblegate is a conspiracy, man. That's great. Oh, it's Bible Gateway. That's why it sounded weird to me. Bible Gateway. And I will repeat something I already said. If you want to read the Bible being translated as literally as you can, but with notes and footnotes, you have the NIV. Not the NIV, God forbid, the NIV, the NET. Because it's a project to have as literal a translation as you can, but it's got loads of footnotes, and you can find, an online version very useful. I'll link it, actually. I think people might find use in it. NIV is a reliable Bible. Goodness, I am turning into an Irishman. Prots actually love literalism, yes, until they don't. And then you're an idiot for liking literalism. For this is my flesh indeed, and this is for my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. And then all of a sudden, well, Jesus said he was a door. Do you think he was a literal door? So yeah, I'm going to clip that recommendation. That is a legitimate, Christian theology stream, career-destroying statement. Posh, is it true that Serbia was invented by Constantine at Nicaea? Well, why do you think he was born in Nisus back then? Which is my bishopric, by the way. So I am a stooge of Constantine's birthplace, bishopric. So, thanks for ruining the grift, author Eric. Right. So the NET Bible, again, you will notice. I am NIV only. You will notice as you go through it, no shortage of footnotes. But if you don't want to try and learn the actual languages it's written in, this is the best option to go. Cotel is live in 15 minutes. Okay. So, folks, I do recommend going to Church of the Eternal Logos. Our friend and brother in Christ, David Patrick Harry, will be going live in 15 minutes. So I will be giving you all a bit of time to prepare to go there. I am I'm at 15 minutes away from 2 hours, and I will be gone. So do go there. And yes, I will set up a schedule. I will set up proper, topics to discuss and not improv. So I hope you people find a proper, erudition from my work. Bosch is crushing. BPF has a great beat down tonight as well. Well, I might get a glimpse of it, but I usually have to wait for him to post it over on Rumble because they tend to start at 3 a.m. for me. Okay, we're over 2 hours, and thank you, everyone. Thank God that this has worked properly. The Ethernet cable has provided the connection and stability needed. and I will be scheduling these. I will be doing proper work, not just these improvised things. I'm not a particularly good improv artist. So thank you for being here, and I will be streaming most likely again on Thursday. So thank you, everyone, and God bless you all.